right, so we're back. We're going to be, first of all, shout out to a super fan. I had somebody reach out to me over the weekend, and they're like, I love watching your podcast. I'm like, oh, I love hearing that. Yay.
Oh, that's so fun.
So hi, Joe. Thanks for contacting us and watching. In Arizona, just goes to show that people you meet, you never know, and how far-reaching your information can go. So
Right.
thanks. So today, we're going to do some debunking of technology. Now, I'm a fan of technology, let me just say that, but we're going to bring in this clip of how home buying of the future is all technology driven, and you don't need a real person to help you with it. Speaking from a realtor perspective and speaking from a client perspective, we're just going to kind of see, where does this really go and how does it really play out, and whether it's right for you or not, it's still to be determined.
Yeah. I think AI technology is entering our lives at every different angle, and I don't know that it's all good.
Right. I mean, we have it in ways that we probably don't even realize. When people do searches, like this is going to talk about, the home searching process. Oh, it can be so streamlined and easy with AI. Well, AI is feeding a lot of that information. What you like on your phone, if you heart it or save it or anything like that, maybe it's creating that algorithm where it's going to send you those listings that meet your criteria.
That's what I always thought. Like, when you're on Zillow and it's like the very first one, it's not like sorted by price or by date, or it's like most relevant. Well, what's relevant? How do you know?
Right. So when you work with a realtor and that realtor sets you up within the MLS so that you're getting home searches that is tied specific to your budget criteria, the neighborhoods maybe you've indicated you're interested in, the features of the home, then you're getting something that's legitimately through that portal, right, versus just anything and everything that might be out there. So some of what we would find through Zillow or some of the other sites was maybe that it actually wasn't an active listing. It was a prior listing, so it wasn't currently on the market. So yes, okay, well, AI didn't funnel that out, so that's not really a good benefit for a person.
Right, and there's nothing worse than falling in love with a home that is unavailable.
Yeah. So let's take a look and listen to what they're saying as far as what they think is coming along our way.
Join me as I take on the challenge of buying a home using only technology, no traditional methods allowed. In this video, you'll explore how technology is transforming the home buying process and what it means for future buyers. When it comes to buying a home, many of us think of driving around neighborhoods, attending open houses, and working with a real estate agent.
So what do you think about that, Ellie? Like the negative they're indicating is driving around the neighborhoods and having to spend all this time taking a look at things.
Well, I think the only negative is the gas prices currently, but I think that's fun. Like, you can, I guess, go through Google Earth and, kind of drive virtually down the road, but you don't know what it looks like in a 360 view. Those aren't really up to date as of right now. What if a neighbor across the street moved in with their 13 cousins, and now you have cheaper by the dozen living outside and all of their cars?
Right.
That's something negative where you would see that if you're driving it sounds like that's a party house, or I don't really want to live next to that, or well, this road is really shoddy, and not really kept up by the city, but when the Google Earth video was taken, the road looked really nice because it had just been done.
Right.
I think that you definitely have to go see in person.
Right.
And you just get that feel,
right.
Oh, this is home. And I don't think technology can describe that feeling.
It can't replicate it. I think also, to your point, you're not getting traffic patterns. You're not seeing how busy is the roadway. I mean, if you have small kids, you don't want to necessarily be on a busy roadway. And also the difference of times. How is the neighborhood during the middle of the day versus in the evening time versus the weekend?
Yeah.
There's big differences that can come about from that. And so I kind of debunk what they're saying here. I don't think that that's a negative. I think that's a positive. And honestly, if you're going to invest in buying a property that's your biggest financial asset purchase at any given time, wouldn't you also want to invest some time, effort into the process itself?
Right. Especially like working with a real estate agent who has your best interest. I know that, real estate agents have had a bad rap lately, but I can count more times than not where it's the expertise of the real estate agent that really prevented that hiccup later on.
Yeah, and I thought that was, obviously my skin kind of peaked a little bit when AI is here telling us that you won't need the human interaction. You can do this all on your own. So I put the specific question in, since we're talking technology, will AI or blockchain actually replace the realtor? And the response is no. Smart contracts will not replace the need for human real estate agents. The truth is, while smart contracts offer efficiency and transparency, they cannot replace the nuanced expertise that agents provide. And I'll go a step further. To your point, I have a fiduciary obligation as an agent, licensed professional realtor, to represent the best interest of my clients, whether they're the buyer or the seller. You don't get that from an AI service, and saying that you're going to do blockchain is the next big thing, that you don't need somebody in your corner doing it, that this is a fail-safe. I haven't found anything that's a fail-safe, but knowing the person that I'm working with is my best bet. Because if you call me and you're not happy, I'm going to do what it takes to make you happy, to correct it or resolve it, right?
Yeah.
Or better yet, to make sure we don't go down that path. I don't know that I would feel comfortable, and I know the business, to do it all AI driven,
Right.
and think that
Well,
I
I
don't
think
have an issue.
when the world shut down in March of 2020, we kind of entered into this area where people were buying homes sight unseen off of pictures, and people were doing everything remotely, and the first time they stepped in the home is when they got the keys. And I feel like a lot of people got burned because what the house looks like in those pictures wasn't what it looked like in real life.
Well, and to that point, our state, Ohio, our governor stipulated real estate as an essential industry. So we were not shut down. We were still able to work and function as an industry, which I think speaks volumes to the fact that of somebody having an understanding of what our industry actually does, the service that we're providing. If it's just about data analytics and this and that, and you can put a formula in there, and I've got investors who that's all they're driven by is the data, ultimately it still comes down to walking through the house. Do the pictures actually reflect what the house shows?
Yeah.
There is deep fakes. I mean, if we want to talk about technology, the world of deep fakes, it could sell this house as a masterpiece, and you get the deed because you did it all without a person, eyes and ears on the ground, never walk through it, but everything checks out, the blockchain is clear, you do it, you've done the deal. Guess what? You pull up and that house doesn't exist, you're SOL at that point.
Yeah.
And we had our treasurer, John McManus, who spoke of these scams that take place.
Yeah.
It's not a fear factor, people. It's a reality check. Yes. Can AI help us in the process of buying, searching, and looking for homes? Can it make the job easier for the marketing that I do and for the service that the clients are looking for? Absolutely. It is definitely not going to replace the industry as a whole. And speaking of blockchain, I mean, how familiar with blockchain are you?
I don't know what that is.
So, I mean, I wouldn't want to use an industry to do the deed if I didn't know what it actually did. To my understanding, blockchain is like a data analytics service. It validates that ownership record. And so if it can't be forged, well, banks aren't supposed to be hacked either, right?
Yeah.
So,
Or how many times do you Google somebody's name and it says that I'm 54 years old? What? Absolutely not.
not today.
Yeah.
So there is things and reasons why. It sounds like it's great, and thank you for the video clip and thinking that this is going to get us high rankings. Maybe it'll get us high rankings because we're going to battle against the AI. I don't know, but I think that there is definitely reasons why you want a human interaction You want a first-hand approach to your search on a home. As the buyer, as the seller, you certainly want somebody who's representing you in a personalized way and understanding what your needs are. So I say it's a fail. I don't think it works.
Yeah, let's keep watching.
To sift through everything yourself. And let's be honest, who hasn't wasted hours scrolling through Zillow or Realtor.com, only to end up more confused than when you started? Not to mention, how do you even know what you're looking for in the first place? What are the must-haves, the nice-to-haves, and the deal-breakers? It can be a daunting task.
So I happen to like spending hours scrolling through Zillow or Realtor.com. And I know like a lot of people aren't in the home buying process, but they still like to look, whether they're getting ideas for their own home or they're saying, if the right house came up, then I would consider moving, or maybe they just want to see like current trends or have some interest in real estate. I don't feel like scrolling through those are wasted hours. I mean, I sit and scroll on Facebook for hours, and that's technically wasted too. Like,
so how many times did you find something that would not have necessarily been your idea that you thought you were looking for, but then you found it and you're like, oh, well, that's pretty cool?
The house that I absolutely fell in love with when we first started my home search wasn't at all what we were looking for.
Right.
In my brain, in my husband's brain, he wanted something that was built in like 1995, and was that, you drive up, wow, this is a really cool house, and the house that we found didn't have that awe factor when you drove up, but inside was definitely the awe factor.
Yeah. And those are things that you felt firsthand. You had to see and experience it that way. And it's fine. And I can tell you how many times a buyer will say, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. I only want to spend $300,000 and I want a basement and I want a nice backyard. Okay. And then they walk into anything that fits that criteria and they're like, yeah, no, this doesn't work. Oh no, I don't like this. Oh, I don't like this color scheme. Oh, and they start discounting. So you can't just say it's based off of factors, something that an algorithm is going to be able to send to you. It still comes down to the feel. And it's not telling you what the size of that room is. If you look at it and you say, well, that's a nice 12 by 14 room. Well, is that big enough for your bedroom furniture? I don't know. I probably have to get in there and actually see, does it look like it is? Because then you've got window placement, you've got door placements, you've got all of these things that factor into it.
Yeah.
I'm going to say, AI is not going to get it there.
I kind of relate it to trying on wedding dresses. They say like, when you go try on wedding dresses, try on an array of dresses. So because you never know which one is just going to pop, and that's it for you. And you just have that feeling. And I think that's the same with house. So you need 3 bedrooms, you need 2 bathrooms. Start as that as your base point with whatever neighborhood or neighborhoods you're interested in. And then just look at everything.
Right.
Because you never know, like, oh, well, I didn't really want a fixer-upper, but there's potential in this. And by the time you outweigh redoing the kitchen or the bathroom or, whatever, you may still be underneath what you would have spent for a turnkey.
Right. And all of these are factors that can be expertly guided and directed by your realtor, right? Who's there for your best interest to make sure and explaining to you if it's only going to cost you $25 to do these improvements that you really want, but you're still buying an under market value. Is that better for the time that it's going to take you than to take and spend twice as much on the home that's turnkey because they know they can get that price?
Right. And then you wouldn't have equity immediately, but when you do the stuff yourself, usually that is double back in equity.
Right. You definitely have some equity there.
Yeah.
Imagine being able to walk through a virtual model of a home, seeing exactly how the natural light pours in through the windows, and getting a feel for the flow of the layout. It's like being there in person, but from the comfort of your own home. Or, picture this, you tell an AI assistant what you're looking for in a home, and it spits out a curated list of properties that meet your exact criteria.
Virtual reality tours. I have seen a lot of houses lately that are empty, but in picture 1, there's all this furniture. And then in picture 2, it's not there. And it's all put in by AI or some kind of technology program.
Right.
Just to show you what it would look like. but it's not actually there. How do you know what the house really looks like if they can add all of that furniture in? How do you know that they're not adding chandeliers or they're not adding windows where they're not really?
Right. And so that again is going to be dictated by how the information is served up. As a realtor, professional, licensed, I have to indicate if it is artificially staged. And my due diligence to my consumer clients would be in making sure that they know this isn't how it looks.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that wall color.
But if you're not there as an agent,
If they're using it on their own and they're doing it without using only technology and not using a realtor, that's where the wall condition could be different. The size of the room could be different. I mean, they have the ability to go in there and make the most functionable, trendy version of this home, and you don't have a clue. And if you've never stepped into it, you don't know the difference.
right.
So worse than finding out you bought an empty lot, I guess, would be finding out you bought a house that doesn't look like anything you thought it was.
Yeah. How do they show how natural light pours in?
Yeah,
Is that really natural, or is it like edited light?
it would have to be edited if it's
Right.
not live footage, right?
Right. How do you know that, like, the sun, that just makes no sense.
But it's the next wave. It's the way for home buying to take place, not using an expert realtor, using only technology. Go for it.
Tammy, I have a bridge to sell you. Okay, so I keep hearing over and over that it's going to create this list of properties for you. I'm on TikTok. Lately, my feed has been all the Menendez brothers, because they have that new Netflix show that came out, and Diddy and all of his stuff. I don't get anything else.
Mm-hmm.
My husband's feed is all Disney or bourbons. He doesn't get any of my stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We live in the same house.
Mm-hmm.
How would we know that those houses aren't showing up on both? And how do we know that they're not pigeonholing us into a certain kind of property and not showing us the rest?
Well, I'll go a step further. How do you not know that somebody on this side isn't paying to have all of their stuff pushed to you instead of you actually seeing what is on open market and available?
Right.
As a realtor, if I only showed those listings that I have in my office, then you are limited in what you're seeing. That's not an open market. So, hello, NAR settlement. Let's just talk about where the next one could go. Is if you're steering and you're not allowing the process, as a realtor, I can be held accountable for that. But I'm an industry, I'm an AI product, I'm this, I don't have any of that qualifiers. Well, guess what? Yes, their model of whatever they're doing is going to benefit them. And that may be that they're only going to direct you to the areas or to the homes or to whatever that benefits their company. And it's not necessarily that it meets your requirements, but it's at least what's going to benefit them.
Or I've seen where these AI algorithms can be kind of racist.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you know you're not directing a black family into a more poverty community, or you're putting a white family out in the country? You know, I know those are stereotypical different communities,
Right.
but I mean, it's happened.
Right. And so the scary part, obviously, I just went to a couple of different conferences, and one of the, I'll call it the scary things that I heard was the use of AI in scenarios where everything that's being said in a room is actually being recorded or monitored or heard.
Right. That's why when me and you can talk about Dick's Sporting Goods right here, after we get home, I will put on my phone and there will be multiple ads For Dick's Sporting Goods.
Yes, and I'm glad you said sporting goods there because that's the important key word, hopefully.
We've tried it before. We were at a girls' retreat. And
Yeah.
so we randomly picked a store that happened to be the store, and we started talking about it. And like 8 out of 10 of us had ads immediately.
Yeah. So that's the thing. If AI is that powerful and that abundant in what it's collecting, so it's collecting information from around and about. It doesn't mean that's you specifically searching for and giving it what details you want, but it's collecting this data and then it's going to give you this information back.
Oh, I have a better one for you. I walked into a house. We went to the lake a couple weekends ago, and the homeowner said, "Oh, look at this lake poster that I just got signed." And we looked at, "Oh, that's cool." I kid you not, that night I had ads for that exact company because the actual poster that I looked at was on the ad.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's scary because just because the phone hears it doesn't mean I've said it. It could be
Right.
somebody in the room. It could be somebody around. It could be off of the TV or anything like that. I think it does bring caution to really protecting. And again, as my fiduciary responsibility as a licensed realtor, I cannot steer clients. I cannot discriminate. These are things that are protected rights for people that I uphold. I advocate for, and I'm not going to trust AI to do that for my clients.
Right. All right, let's finish this up. So I'm always suspect when something says it's secure. Because isn't like Microsoft secure, yet it shut down half of the world a couple months ago?
Right.
And the airlines were down for multiple days. And then I would say weekly, we get some kind of notice from a credit card company or banking financial institution that's
For
like,
data breach.
we are going to be paying for credit monitoring for everybody affected.
Mm-hmm.
You know, or even the credit bureaus have been hacked before. I don't think anything is secure because
Right.
a criminal will always find a way around it.
For sure. And that's the thing. Again, you're trying to protect your asset. The process, it needs to be verifiable. I think that's best done in a face-to-face setting, not an online setting, because we don't deal with wire transfers for the fear of the fraud that could be attached to that. So if I already know that there are reasons why things can't happen all digitally online, then I'm going to still advocate for the person to make sure that they're dealing with somebody that they can get a hold of, physically
Right.
have a conversation with, and know where they work.
So I would say, like, overall, technology is a good tool,
Yep.
but I think it shouldn't be a crutch. When you're buying a home now compared to in the 90s, you used to have to go get the book, and all of the homes were
It was
printed
a little
in
bit
there.
before the 90s, but yeah.
Okay. Now I can just like log online and see what's
Yes.
available.
Yeah.
You know, or, oh, look, my neighbor put a sign in the yard. I don't have to pretend like I'm a buyer and go over there in an open house. I can just look at it online,
Right.
you know?
Right. Definitely a lot of benefits, and technology has been there, and it's going to continue to reshape our industry and our daily activities. But I think that it always should be used with caution, and it should be used in a verifiable way so that you know that you are protected and that you have recourse otherwise.
Mm-hmm. So I think our tip for the end of this episode would be to verify everything that you see is actually what it is.
Yes. That's good news.
Yeah. So before you go buy that home that seems too good to be true, drive by, make sure it exists.
Yeah. Because
It's
what's
not
the
a
saying?
field.
If it's too good to be true, if it seems too good to be true, it probably is.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
I'd
true.
rather err on the side of caution and do my due diligence.
Yeah.
Thanks. Thanks for joining us today on the Realty Podcast. If you enjoyed the knowledge and entertainment today, please subscribe and share with your friends. We will be embarking on a journey that bridges the gap between realtors and clients, uncovering the heart and tea of real estate.